So this is when we went to Palestine, as you can see on the screen. So what did you make of all the Gong people that you...
I was quite impressed by those three young men, yes.
Amazing, they're just young kids, you know.
Yeah.
And to have the guts to give up that 25 and 20,000 pound job like that.
Yeah.
And go for it needs some real spirit and conviction.
I was getting a bit depressed sometimes about the quality of the thinking of some of the young people today. But they have impressed me today.
Malcolm, what do you make out?
I absolutely 100% agree. I didn't realize such great things were coming out of South Shield. I really didn't.
Keep plugging South Shield. I'll be back in a minute.
But I'm absolutely gobsmacked at the profundity and the lightness which goes with it in their speech, and the things that they were saying. I just had to gently smile in agreement.
Because the beauty is they're so young. I mean, it's a bit like the movie that I saw yesterday called Teen Tal. It's a 28-year-old Bengali boy who hardly speaks Urdu or Hindi. And suddenly he's in India and he's made a movie 2 hours and 8 minutes long on a £100,000 budget. It's like me going to China and making a movie. £100,000 where Hindi movies are made at least £1 million, £1.5 million, £2 million, £3 million, £4 million. It's not slick, it's a deeply moving story. So it's a bit like that. It's about conviction, isn't it? What do you think?
It is. I don't think there's any doubt of it.
Yeah, there are young people, generation, who can actually see, and by see I don't mean
physically visual things.
I don't mean things like dreamlike things where you're given that sort of thing. Seeing is understanding.
Yes, deeply see it.
Yeah.
The essence of it, the meaning of it.
Oh, I see, you know, the word I see, when you understand.
Yes.
And so they've understood what is going on in the world.
Very early in life.
Yeah.
They're fairly enlightened guys, you know.
Yeah, I thought
for young kids, they were to what, 35 maximum?
Something like that.
Yeah, I felt as though I needed to.
I mean, this is the time. Yeah, but this is the time they should be having a Mercedes and a beautiful wife and 2 kids, and I'm just doing the alternative.
Yeah.
That's what people are rushing for.
Exactly.
But they're so happy.
Because
they're so happy.
When you said the right thing. It's an epiphany.
Yeah, epiphany is the word I was looking for.
On the road to Damascus.
Yes. On the road to Damascus.
Yes.
Absolutely. They've obviously seen where our society is leading all the time there, and said, no, stop the world, I want to get out.
Yeah. It takes an effort of will to do that. It really takes quite an effort of will.
But once you cross that boundary of that will thing, then you're into another space.
The thing that occurred to me while those lads were great fellows who were talking a couple of minutes ago is the fact that you have to have, how can I put it, there's 3 of them, so they've got a relative backup. But once you have a group, a large group of people with the same ideas as then it moves forward.
Isn't it a bit like laser when all the rays are aligned?
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
No, go on.
No. It brings to mind the power of thought. When everybody thinks the same thing, our thoughts take shape in the ethereal world.
They actually
formalize. Take a form.
They say the mind is the blueprint and the body is the printout.
Everything. I mean, when you look around the whole universe, why should we think that our thoughts do not have an effect?
Of course they do.
Right. So these forms gather together under the power of that law, which says like attracts like, and when you get things condensed, it forms a magnetic attraction, which makes
exactly like iron filings.
Yeah, exactly.
On paper, and you got a magnet underneath.
So then, people with a similar outlook,
they align themselves.
They receive the benefit of those thoughts, and they link up, and that forms an even more powerful center.
Now, whether it's for the good or for the bad, it's exactly the same.
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Hitler aligned the whole German nation to kill and hate so many people. Now, if he was Mother Teresa or Nelson Mandela, he would align the whole nation. I mean, Nelson Mandela is amazing. He just aligned the whole country to not hate the white people and kill them.
Exactly, yeah.
Which, I'm sorry to say, Gandhi couldn't. there was so much violence after that idea of partition. 1 million people died, 14 million were dislocated, and we call that a non-violent. So, I mean, his idea was brilliant. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
It killed 1 million people. That partition did. So that's why I put. They're saying thank you for the.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I mean, how can these guys come to the studio and not give them a present?
Yeah.
So I was saying that Nelson Mandela managed to prevent the bloodshed of white people. Normally it would have happened, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, all the years of slavery and anger turned completely into peace. And South Africa is still working. South Africa is still running quite successfully without white people being slaughtered and murdered, as happened in the Indian partition. Which sadly, I'm sure the Gandhi didn't intend, but there was something missing in that partition movement or that freedom movement of India that didn't happen just like beautifully as in South Africa.
But as with all religions, people latch on to ideas and then use it for their own purposes. So those people...
Well, the partition was hitched with religion.
Yes, exactly.
And South Africa was not hitched with religion.
Yeah, precisely. That's why...
So as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking it through.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Israel is hitched with religion. Therefore, there's killing every single day. If Israel had been made somewhere in Alabama, America, because most of the Israelis are from abroad, and somebody on Facebook said, well, why don't they have Israel in America and they'll all be happy? But the book says we have to be there. We have to be in the heart. If you look at Israel, it looks like a dagger. And I've been to Israel. That's what's playing in the background, by the way. That's Deepu Ahad. So that's a Palestinian boy who's talking about his deepest feelings. It was quite moving. I came away totally hating Zionists and Israelis. So for September it happened. So 6 months ago this happened. I didn't even have the guts to put it out. But slowly as I'm feeling better, I'm putting these things out. So that's Deepu Ahad, who also went, Muslim guy, who went all the way to Israel, but he also went to Auschwitz. It's just, there are good young people, you know. And we were just saying, while you were stuck, Mrs. Producer. No, it's good, you know. We're getting a kind of a theme going here.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love getting people together. And what's happened is, as I was saying, Monday we got Ali Mahmood. Wednesday it's you. Thursday it's Wheelchair Steve. Friday Jerry Hunwick. And Saturday we haven't got anyone yet. But it's good that there are people who feel responsible to bring more people.
Yeah.
Sandeep was talking about a possible... Say again.
Saturday we have Fran Arnold, who has done a successful crowdfunder and done an artists exchange called the Artist Window.
So where is she or he? Fran? Is it
She's
her?
in Fenham.
Okay, now Saturday I'm meant to have Zafar Ali, who's I think listening, and his friend. Now, Zafar, could you tell us quickly that you are coming? Then we won't have Fran. Anand, is it? Fran
Arnold.
I'm joking. Okay. Okay. So what we are saying is, we were saying while you were in there, how wonderful these three boys are. They're boys, you know. They're kids. How old would they be? 35?
I'm not sure.
That's kind of
I'd
age,
say
right?
early 30s.
And
yeah.
we were saying that's the age when men aspire to have a wonderful house. By the way, that's David Stockdale. So these are Palestinian children who act and they get their aggro out instead of throwing stones in Bilin. They're just acting. And there's all of us chatting in the background. So that's when we were in Palestine. This is 17th of September last year. So I'm just beginning to bring this stuff out. And this is with a very ordinary camera. So you were saying that how amazing it is that, and you weren't there again when I said that you have this quality, of see quality, you grab it. You don't wait, you're not hesitant.
No.
You know, yesterday you were at the Teen Tal thing.
Yes.
What did you make of it all?
I thought it was an incredible story. It's such a gentle tale of brotherhood and family. And I think it's got a universal appeal. I think it's got a far wider audience than just an Indian audience.
Because it is about feelings, it's about
feelings,
music.
Music, and
It's
the
about
love of music.
Don't touch the mic, please. It's about music because music transmutes people. That's what I felt, at least.
I think music can transform, and that really came across in the film. The performances were quite moving. Yes.
We also were fortunate to sit in the same row as the family,
Yes.
and the father was sitting
Lovely.
exactly behind me.
Yes.
And I was so inspired to say, I had to say that this is an autobiographical film because your love for your father is what comes through in the movie.
Exactly.
You know, it resonates with him, otherwise it wouldn't ring true.
It does. The whole energy and feeling of that film is the love that goes throughout it. And somebody asked at the end, there isn't a love story here, but there is, because there's love throughout, but it's the love of brother for brother and for their father. And I think that is a beautiful tale to tell.
Here's a bit of the sound from the movie. And then we had a whole show here with him, Shakirul. He and his sister came. So that's Shakirul himself, 28-year-old child really, who's made a movie of 2 hours, 8 minutes in a foreign country.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks Asian, but he doesn't speak Urdu or Hindi. He
Right.
speaks only Bengali and English, of course.
Right.
And he's a chemist. And then his dentist friend, they put together £100,000 and made a movie from their own pocket. They didn't go to gangsters and collect money in Dubai. This all happens, you know.
Yes.
A lot of the Hindi film industries are made by Dubai gangsters.
Yeah.
It's changing now, so it's all come out. So it is amazing that there are lovely young people around. The other day I had a young Pakistani origin boy who makes ties. His name is not Pegida, it's something similar. And I was talking about him, and in the Pakistani culture side, his father says, he's my son. I said, bring him here, advertise him, why are we shy? In our culture, the Asian culture, we don't project, you know, we're a bit shy. If my child does well, I said, go and shine, my friend.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So you did very, very, very well today for bringing these 3 boys. We'll have a break, and then we'll talk some more. It is 1 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah. So where do you want to take the topic now, producer? Where do you want to take the topic now, producer?
I go with the flow.
Okay, well, Flo, where you want to talk about Speakers Club and how the last week has been?
If you like, anything.
What
anything.
Okay, Malcolm, anything?
Just the power of speech, the
Anybody?
power of language.
And the sound of language.
Okay.
Yes, the sound of language.
Okay, there's 4 minutes more for this.
Thoughts can, as we said, more than we realize, affect negatively and positively.
Yes.
Anything on this earth, on this planet.
You affect each other very much.
Very much.
In fact, there was a quotation about, let's not,
Create through thought, yeah.
Yes.
how powerful thoughts are, we'll talk about that.
You can affect other people through thoughts,
Without saying a word.
without saying a word. And we don't realize how much we affect other people by our thoughts. I've always felt this. All my life I've felt this. And I've seen it in action. I used to say to friends, I said, look, you're affected by things you never even see. And so how do you know? I said, I know it because I've seen it in action.
And you can do it just by changing the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I think it starts with the emotions.
Yes.
And when you start with the emotion, when you change that, everything changes. Because what happened yesterday for me was I had a lot to do, a lot of work to do, but the sun was shining. And I thought, I'm going to make the most of the sun. And I went down to the coast, and I thought, this is so good, I'm going to milk it. I'm going to enjoy even more. And I spent 3 hours walking. And then I come back and I get this gift of an invitation. And everything else falls into place.
Yeah.
I think the thought, it comes before the thoughts, as you say, from the concepts that you hold, really. Then the concepts that
The concepts
you
are
hold,
the filter through which you avoid thinking.
well, you don't.
Your self-held concepts are filters, so
Well,
you won't see good in someone you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you start with the concept of how life should be, what you think
Yes,
you
yes,
should do,
it should.
right? And then in other words, your spirit has that quality. then your spirit tells your brain what to think about, what to do about it, because that is the executive instrument that where we put those concepts and thoughts into the world. In other words, we draw down anything that's good or bad, and then put it into practice through this brain that we have, which is designed to execute things in a material world.
Okay, put all your headphones on and don't take them off, otherwise you won't hear what we are saying. There's something that said softly. We are talking through the headphones now. Okay, so I'll just start with this soundtrack, just to give it a bit background, and we can say that where does all this start? Where does any success we can say about the mind, the attitude, the thoughts, and so on? So really, in the background, you're seeing Shakirul, the movie, and I'm not just focusing on the movie. How does a thought come that you don't filter? I mean, he's a chemist graduate. His father has a place in Shayamua. How does he make a Hindi movie out of only £100,000? He doesn't even speak the language. He's a Bengali. So he knows Sylheti language, and he knows Geordie and English, and that's it. Yeah. He might know a few French through his High Eton school. How does this kind of thing happen? What do you think? Where do you think this kind of creativity starts and comes to fruition? And what are the steps where we succeed and what are the steps where we fail? Any ideas, three of you? Risaria?
I think with Shakirul, how do you pronounce it?
Shakirul.
Shakirul.
Shakirul Alam. Actually, it should be Shakir Ul Alam, but in English, we combine the Ul to it.
I think that he has created this because he just set out to do it.
Yes.
And it's like the way he presents himself, you know.
When he's talking.
Everything attracted the story to him because he actually met the tabla player in 2012. And the guy was training as an actor.
So here's a tabla player, fairly reasonable. I mean, in India you get them penny a bucket. India's full of tabla players.
Yeah.
So he's a good tabla player, not the best or whatever, not the most famous either. But he wants to do an actor, and that probably inspired him.
But it was the story of his father.
And that story inspired him?
Yes, the
And
story
he had the courage to go and say, I want to make a movie on you. How many people would they say, oh no, he'll mind?
And then the following year, he wins the competition. The competition came after he'd agreed to film the story.
Because there was some beautiful energy fed into it.
Yes.
By Shakirul.
Yes.
So Shakirul fed the energy which made the story progress.
Yes.
In real life.
In real life. It's sort of life-creating art.
Yes. Life is art, art is life,
yes.
isn't it? Okay.
And yesterday they were all there, black tie. The women were wearing the most beautiful Indian dresses, and they were there because they were celebrating.
So they're celebrating. That's the beauty of it. Yes.
That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
They weren't just saying, and they had it really well presented, and they weren't just saying, oh, this is something. They weren't apologising for it. They were celebrating what they'd done.
Proud of what you did.
Proud of what they've done, and justly so. Yeah.
So Malcolm, you haven't actually seen the movie.
No.
What you're seeing on the screen is the brother and sister.
Right.
The sister is more like his PR man. She's always with him.
Yeah.
And this is when we had them in the studio, I think in January or something, I can't remember now.
Right.
About 8 weeks ago. When I heard about it, I said, I have to have this guy in the studio.
Yes.
And we were the first person in UK who put him on air. And then others followed. So a bit like Risaria. That's why Risaria and I click, because you see quality, grab it. What's the point?
Well, I think so, because anyone who can make a movie out of...
Don't touch the mic. You have to learn to swing the thing, yeah.
Anybody who can literally do something like a movie on such a budget deserves a lot of praise, because he obviously has pulled out all the stops, maybe favors and anything that he can get a hold of to pull it through. And he obviously has done an excellent job.
He's done it.
Yep, he's
so
done it.
What would normally have people stopped at? Because all of us have a dream. But that last 10 seconds, and they say, no, I can't do it. No, mom will get upset. No, what will my Hindu friends say? No, what will people back home say? No, why shouldn't I? All these ifs and buts, and actually, you know what it's called in psychology?
Negativity.
I must. It's,
Yep.
it's called masturbation. That's what psychologists call it, in jest, of course.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Again, swing the mic to yourself without touching. Yes. Tell us what you think about all this process. You haven't been involved in this movie. You haven't seen it, but some sense of it.
Right. Well, as usual, I have a somewhat spiritual
yeah.
attitude
Why
towards
not?
it.
Sure.
It's all all of it about communication. If you wish, really wish...
Really from the core of your heart.
Yeah, to communicate. It's all part of living as human beings on Earth. And if you let me, I'll just
Please, you've got some book in front of it. Please do,
Yeah.
please do.
The living together of Earthmen, the interhuman relationships, are natural processes intended in the order of creation.
Mm-hmm.
They take effect so long as human beings are on Earth who require communal life for spiritual development and ascent. On their journey through the world of matter,
Mm-hmm.
they are meant to mature through one another. Thus, in their interactions, they can reciprocally experience everything that benefits their spiritual advancement.
Mm.
To this end, they received a special gift from God, language. It is indispensable for the communication between human beings, and in this connection, man must pay strict attention not to inflict physical or psychic harm of any kind on his fellow men.
Mm.
Accordingly, he should bear in mind that, for instance, absence of tact, lack of consideration, negligence, or even damaging a neighbour's reputation are included here.
Yes.
So really what you're talking about, we are here to ascend
Yes.
spiritually. That's the only purpose of being on the planet.
Right. So he's doing what he's
He's
supposed
doing
to do.
ascension.
And that was
Yeah.
one of the themes of the film, because the father kept saying to his son, you know, he wanted him to promote classical tabla, but he said, whatever you do in life, you mustn't harm anyone on the way. You know,
Don't get walk on people's heads.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I think for me, what this guy did in that film is he brings the best out in people.
Yes.
Because the performances he gets are really good, and he also asked, when he was asked what his favourite part was, he said the cycling scenes, and they were my favourite part because
And they're so simple.
they're so simple.
You just got a camera crew in a jeep or something
Yeah.
on a mount that doesn't wobble too much on Delhi roads, and there was this fellow on the bike telling his story. I'm going to tell you the story of my life on a bike. He's
Yes.
pedaling on a bike.
And he said the cinematographer was really thrilled because
Imagine.
he'd
In
never
20
been
years,
around-
he had
in
never had
20
such
years,
fun.
He'd never had the
And
opportunity.
what's so big about it?
Yes.
You're just filming a guy on the bike, but you have to have a childlike quality
Yeah.
to do that
Yes.
kind of work,
Yeah.
Yeah,
isn't it? And the other thing is, all the musicians were real musicians.
yeah.
Now, I as a kid used to hate when a 50-year-old woman is singing a child's song. Until one famous filmmaker put his daughter, and I said to him, what's so big? She's an 8-year-old girl singing an 8-year-old child's song. It should be like that. So I also can see the world as a child sees it, instead of saying, no, the old lady of 50 is doing it, singing it. Why should a 50-year-old sing an 8-year-old? And now in India, the 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds are singing pure classical music, you know. You'll be just amazed at how good they are.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. So the idea to me is no big deal. Oh, well, musicians just take musicians. Because and the 12-year-old boy who's playing the tabla, where would you get a 12-year-old actor and somebody else plays the tabla for him? And I can make out, because I know enough about tabla and classical music, that the sounds are not quite exactly like an adult's. Instead of going prang, prang, it goes prak, prak. I mean, the sound is not as good as an adult's. But he's got podgy little 12-year-olds, fat hands, you know. How do you expect that to be the same as an
Yes.
adult's?
Yes.
What was interesting for me is when they're teaching, they have the teacher playing and the children following
Playing alongside.
playing alongside.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen in.
No.
I don't know of a system in England where they work like that at all, because the teacher teaches, but it's academic and it isn't. They aren't.
But
actually
music is not
practically
academic.
playing.
It's like teaching
No.
love. It's like
Yeah.
teaching beauty. It's like teaching anything.
Yeah.
Medicine is not academic. You learn some things from the book. How much do you think of my time I've spent in medical school is actually used in general practice? Guess. 5%.
5%.
The rest is all human relationship.
Right.
When I started, I had my blood pressure instrument, the peak flow meter, my nebulizer in the car, the dipstick for this, dipstick for that. When I finished, I just had in my pocket a prescription pad, on my shoulder a stethoscope just to look medical, and a pen, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't need more than that. You pick it up. But when you're insecure and new, you need all the accoutrements and add a leather bag and the most powerful one and all. But as time goes on, you can pick it up like that, you know. You can pick up illness and all from your gut. So I think the same is true about anything, you know, no comparison. I walked into Lasani Grill the other day to get some food. Right, just to see, because I've heard the advert so many times. Lasani Grill, cooked fresh and all that kind of thing. I just, with my iPhone, I just filmed something. It's on YouTube. You know, you don't need a fancy camera. They say the best camera is the one you have.
Exactly.
So the iPhone is the best camera. I mean, if you walk around with these kind of big things, people get nervous.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Yep.
And
Definitely.
everyone now has become very democratic. Everyone films, everyone does selfies, everyone does photography. The world is, I mean, it's no big deal now. Unless you're super good, nobody wants you. What do you think?
I was just going back to what Risaria said about learning alongside, because simplicity is the key. And young people below teenage, I would say, which is when the spirit emerges, are basically much more animal-like. Monkey see, monkey do. And that is the way that they learn, through pictures and example.
And copying.
And
Modeling, it's called.
Yeah, more than the intellectual taking in of data or anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is what, if you keep things, it takes much more effort to make something simple for people to understand than it does to make it intellectually
I have
complicated.
been, personally, I've been absolutely fulfilled in my job. I enjoyed Elmfield Health Group while it was. I turned it around. I had Saturday morning surgeries 15 years ago when nobody imagined it. I lived on the premises. I did early morning, late evening surgeries. I used to do 2 open. I had computers. I mean, I can't tell you how wonderful the time it was. The fellow used to come first in my class in Patna. He worked in Saudi in urology for 30 years. What a beautiful Garden of Eden to work in. Saudi Arabia, father, and he's not even a Muslim. So imagine, so intellectuality doesn't necessarily pay.
No.
It's what you actually do with it.
Exactly.
Isn't it? It's how you serve other human beings.
Yeah.
Malcolm?
When I was younger, and I did an awful lot of singing and playing. There was one day I was playing at a place, and a huge fella came across to me, and he said, "Put it there." And I thought, "Oh, this guy's got hands on him like a shovel."
Like a shovel. You're going to pick me up and throw me
absolutely.
across the room. Yeah.
And he said, "That's brilliant." And
I see. He liked you.
Oh, yeah. He said,
Just as well.
That's handy like.
And I thought, I'm on a high. Then he turned around, he said, "You made my wife cry." And I
thought he was going to punch me now.
I'm dead. I'm dead. But not at all. He said, "Give me a hand." And he shook my hand. He said, "I've been married to this lady for 26 years, and I've never seen her cry."
Was the tune that bad?
Apparently not. Apparently it touched her.
Oh yeah.
And she couldn't stop crying. And he said, "You can do this all night."
But you did psychotherapy.
Yes.
If you can puncture some crying, crying is very good because it releases pain.
Indeed.
Psychologically.
Indeed.
But also in the tears, there's a thing called lysosome. These are toxic chemicals in the body that you're secreting, getting rid of.
Yeah.
So crying is brilliant.
But this was when you, having done a lot of singing most of my life, Doc, one thing I noticed was when you touch a person, whether it is in a spiritual, well, singing is spiritual as well.
It is.
When you touch a person, you see things react. They come to the surface, and a whole room.
How many people would you have sung to in your life? 10,000, 20,000? 15,000, 80,000?
10,000 maybe.
10,000?
Yeah.
But you still tell the story of the man with the shovel hands.
Yes.
Because
when
you touched his wife.
Yeah. But also when you...
And in the Bible it says things about wives, but then I'm just turning it.
not that way.
Okay, but it is about touching, reaching
people.
Yeah.
Soul, spirit, whatever, mind, whatever.
I asked my guru, Pandit Arun Devnath, who stayed in my house 10 years off and on, at least for 5 years. For half the time he used to stay, half the time in India.
Yeah.
And I said, what raga are you going to do tonight? He said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, okay, tell me more.
Yeah.
He said, I'll sit on the stage, I'll clear my throat, pretend to tune my tanpura, which is already in tune, but I'll be watching the audience. And if I see a very martial Sikh, I'll sing Rag Malkon, Sa Ga Ma Dha Ni Sa Ni Da Ma Ga Sa. I'll do that kind of a thing.
Yes, yes.
If I see a beautiful woman, romantic, I'll
Yes.
sing Nadiya Kinare Mora Gaon. It is to woo a lady.
Yes.
If I see someone very martial and angry, I'll do that kind of a song.
Yes.
And so on. So, and if I see a woman in white, say a Hindu woman, I'll sing something sad because she lost her husband.
Yes.
But at the end of the show, I must see them wiping their tears.
Yes.
Whether it's a bloke or a woman or a kid, I have to reach one person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the problem I had with Northern Arts. They say how many bums on seats. I say, excuse me, in India we sing through our mouths.
Yeah.
Because, and
Nice one.
I used to say things like that. I said, which art have you failed in? He said, what do you mean? I said, what did you want to do but couldn't? That's why you're stuck in Northern Art. One fellow says, I used to be a pianist. Rose Rigby told me she used to be a drama person. I mean, she's a great organizer.
Yeah.
But all these organizers have
Yeah,
failed
failed
in some
artists.
art form.
Yeah.
That's why they're very hard on others. It's like a mother-in-law.
Yes.
She had it hard, she puts it hard, Hello, Northern Arts, you don't exist anymore. It's called Arts Council of England or something. Okay.
Yeah, parents do that with the children as well, don't they?
Yes, yes. But often, strangely, I find parents who will say things like, I didn't have any computers in my time. And I say, are you jealous?
Yes.
Join them.
Yeah.
You
It's
can't
just a
beat them.
tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
Yes.
It's a tool. Okay,
But-
so really what you're saying is art is there in all of us.
Yes.
But sometimes you need a guru, a teacher to
Yes.
bring it out.
Yes. I've known rooms full of people,
Yes.
Doc, and they've come across after I've finished singing, and I'll be talking to somebody and they'll go, I never heard anything like it. It made me, I felt like I was flying. I said, that's, and another fellow said, I felt like I was searching for God. I said, that's it. And people that I came to, this, where will you be? I said, well, I'll be such and such. And like that gentleman you were talking about before, I never would make anything. I would take a piece of paper and a pen, and I would never decide until the very last moment, because I could feel what the audience.
I'll share something with
the
Glenn.
audience was.
Glenn, in our speakers club, we get
Yeah.
a month's notice before we do the speech.
Yes,
The
yes.
8-minute speech.
Yes.
When do you think I prepare my speech? Tell me.
Oh,
You know me
if
better.
anything, on the way to the meeting.
You're actually right. It takes about 25 minutes to drive from Gosforth to Kittiwake.
Yeah.
And I just speak the speech.
Yeah.
I just speak it in the car.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I meet so many people, there's so many ideas. It's not about the matter.
No.
It's about, we are learning how to deliver it.
Deliver it. Yes.
So for me,
Yeah.
pausing
Yeah.
is very
Yeah,
important.
So is the walk up to the rostrum.
Yes, so you
you've
take
got
time.
About half a second,
Yeah.
2 or 3 seconds in order to think, how am I going to deal with
Yes.
this? It was because I was in that competition, when was it? Just a couple of days ago,
Yes.
down in near Wetherby.
You did go.
I did go, yeah.
Oh, tell us about it.
Oh, well, it was, what was it? There were 3 speeches, and our particular club, there were 3 contestants in each group, and we came 3rd in every one.
Of course. They just don't like us, man. We are so brilliant.
Yeah. So I came 3rd in the impromptu part of it,
Okay. What did the teacher say? Must try harder.
something like that. Yeah. But
So what was your
good for
speech?
experience.
What was your speech? Was
Oh,
it
it was.
was it off the cuff, like
Yes. Oh, yes.
topics?
Yes.
So what was your topic?
What was it? Something about breathing.
Okay, I'll give you a topic now. And as soon as I snap, you start. Radio. Go on.
Radio. Well, it's all about communication, like we were discussing before. And the power of communication is that we swap ideas, concepts, thoughts, opinions, and that by rubbing off each other, then that's what we can do in order to improve our own concepts. If we find something better than what we think, you think, and it rings a bell. So then you change your concepts. That's how you change the world. You change the world by adopting, by rubbing off other people, by getting the inspiration from the thoughts that other people have, as I was mentioning before about the accumulation of thoughts and their influence on people. That's when you pick up, like a radio, you tune in.
Okay, that's fine. He's done a minute, but this is all it is, 2 minutes. Did he stop? Did he flounder? He just brrrr, like that. Because, he's lost that fear. that he'll look bad, what will people say, I shouldn't say this, I couldn't say that, you know, all these masturbations as we call it. He's lost all that. So I think by coming on radio you become more yourself. You lose that layers of onion which are blocking you. Risaria, you help story writing.
Yes.
Isn't that what you do really?
Yes, that's what I do, and it's helping people to work on an energetic, spiritual level, because there's what I call head writing, where you're just writing the words down.
You craft like a craftsman.
You craft like a craftsman. But when you go deeper and come from your heart, you connect with the audience in a different way. And in a way, sometimes the spelling and the structure
don't matter.
No. Because you've got the energy coming from that one human being.
So it's purer, more innocent, more truthful, less hypocritical.
Yes.
And the words will fall in place, won't they?
Exactly. Exactly.
So when's your next writing course?
I'm arranging the dates. I've got 3 people interested, but it's finding a date that works with them, for all of them.
Where
Safia's just been asking about it.
Zafar Bhatti.
Zafar Bhatti.
Yes, I was going to say his name.
Yes, yes.
Is it going to be in Newcastle?
Yes.
Because I would like to attend, because I'm doing the story of my life.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, things that I know, and it really needs structure.
Yes.
But that's what Risaria does.
That's what I do.
Well,
yes.
The only problem is, if it's relatively early on in the day, I can attend it.
Well, can I make an offer? You can always use that room next to us.
That would be brilliant.
Done, finished.
That would be brilliant. That makes it simpler.
That makes it, you got a room, it's a nice venue, you've got sofas, you can bring teas and coffees, you can get, on Saturday if this place is closed, the fish and chips across the road.
Yeah.
And it's our place,
Perfect.
we all feel comfortable. Done.
Perfect.
So you find a day when I'm game.
Would it be in the afternoon, something like that?
It's a day. It's like 10 till 4. Yes.
Oh, that's
10
great.
a.m. till 4 p.m.
That's excellent.
And it's next door.
That's great, Don.
So Zafar Bhatti, you
That's
and I,
wonderful.
3 are there already, and there might be more.
Yes.
So Risaria is doing a writing course probably on a Saturday.
Saturday, yes. So,
Well, we can do part of it on radio, because I'm on radio, so you can
right, we could.
do it live on radio.
Well,
That would be great, because I think sometimes we did this on in Norway, getting people to actually speak and know they're communicating through a microphone, have it recorded.
Yes. Well, the show is
different
recorded.
quality. Yes.
I've got a piece of my writing in the other room,
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
and I was wondering if I could read it. Only a small paragraph.
Just go and get it. Like,
Yeah.
if you take your headphones off, it'll be better. It reminds me of Laurel and Hardy, when the fellow's putting petrol into the car, and he drives off, and the petrol pump is going along with the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So on a Saturday, so my friend who could be in London between 10 and 12, but if he's not, we'll do 4 hours live on here. Then
Right.
Sarah Faye comes in at 2, and maybe that's the time we'll have a break,
Yes.
and we just carry on. We can do the whole thing on radio, really,
Right.
for others to benefit from.
Yes.
It could be a whole
Yes, we could.
completely 6 hours.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll make sure he's away. I'll tell his
That's a
wife.
challenge. Yes.
I'll tell his wife to keep him home.
Yeah.
Okay. So go on. You got something to read. Okay.
Yes, I have.
The sound effect of rustling of paper is real. It is the sound effect. It's not a Foley thing.
No.
Have you got it, my friend? Put your headphones on.
Yes, I have. Yes, just bear with me. There it is.
Okay. So this is Malcolm reading out a written piece. Go on.
This is part of my younger life. The smell of dead, wet leaves in a cold and windy winter's day. Quite a few lanes and highways, especially quiet little lanes and residential places like Grosvenor Road and St. George's Avenue. These things are timeless. We may never see them again. Isolated children with their mothers returning to the place of abode. And older scholars laughing and gambolling, boys and girls chattering and wrapping the scarves around themselves in the wind. The smell of new-mown hay on a summer's night, and freshly cut grass smelling in the evening dusk. And all of these people coming back from school on these particular days, summer and winter. Cars at that time were not as prolific as they are today. It seems a long time ago and yet like yesterday, and those summer nights, ethereal, and like doorways and portals to a gentle, mysterious other world, especially living alongside our own, where if we look further, we might see elves and pixies and people whom we knew from history, who have lingered on in the twilight, waving, or is it warning us, not to waste and misuse, and not to make the same mistakes we have done for centuries.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. So, Risaria, what would you do
Are
with
you
it?
serious? Was that actually?
The one thing you have to not do is self-doubt. And what other people's opinion is does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
You're in the wrong company, matey. Because we all agree with you that you're wonderful. So you learn to take a compliment. When I was in my practice and I expanded it by 125%, and people say, "Oh, lovely surgery," I said, "Wait till the curtains come." And someone said, "Why the hell won't you say thank you?" You understand? Taking a compliment is very difficult.
Yes.
So it is wonderful. So what do you say?
I'm most grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. That's slightly
Thank
better.
you. Thank you.
Have confidence. It'll come out in your voice.
The response was spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't plan to. We didn't wink at each other and say, "It's
No.
rubbish, let's clap."
No. Yeah. Well, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah, but stop being afraid, work in love, not in fear. He's speechless.
And you've shared your writing on it?
Yes. You know, somebody said that writing or poetry or singing is like writing a love letter to your beloved and hanging that poster in the marketplace. Because you're exposing yourself.
Yes.
My own cousin, my mother's younger sister's second daughter, she's a prolific writer. She's written 6 books, all published in India. She told me, "Lugi smatri na kolia," which means "Look world, I'm naked." When my uncle and aunt and she were in Russia, that's what she learned. "Look world, I'm naked," because she was 2 years old in the window shouting "Lugi smatri la golia."
Oh, bless her.
And I said, "Neelam, you're still doing Lugi smatri la golia because when you're writing, you're naked, your soul is bare."
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is truth in that.
Yes, there is.
And that's the only Russian I know apart from Niyat and Da.
Yeah, the words, if you look at what was happening when you were reading, the words, you pick them up and you form a picture
Yes.
in your mind.
Yes. It's very pictorial.
Very
Yes.
pictorial.
All the leaves and this and that and the other.
Which is the way that spirit works in pictures more than anything else.
Yes, yes.
And that involves art. And there's just a little bit that I would like to read if it's
Please,
possible.
please. Wonderful.
Right, it's
But
art.
this isn't your writing, though.
No, this isn't my writing.
Yeah.
No.
But you're giving word picture ideas.
Yeah, well,
yes,
it's
yeah.
not so much that, it's more about art and its relationship to spirit and the pictures.
Okay.
It's just, in the course of millennia, some peoples were indeed on the way to a higher culture. But then the ever-growing domination of the intellect set in and prevented any further spiritual development. There was only one exception, the works of art. And they were enlivened by the spirit and survived the decline of the peoples. The poet Jean-Paul Friedrich Richter expressed it similarly. Laws, times, peoples outlive themselves along with their works. Only the bright constellations of art shimmer in all immortality.
Wow. I can see a star going twinkle, twinkle. It is, isn't art very, what's the word, not controversial, what goes opposite to the current, what do you call it? Something that goes against the current.
Contraflow.
It's a contraflow, isn't it? It flows against religion, it flows against political things. So it is the only breath of fresh air that you have.
For me, it feels like it's the opposite. It feels like art is actually going with the flow, going with the stream. That it is it being in the current.
So being in art is just a normal thing.
Is the normal thing,
And
the
to
other things are the
things that
pushes.
bind us.
Yes.
Yes. So instead of saying art is against conformity, conformity is what kills.
Yeah.
Whether it's religious conformity or I'm from the Indian diaspora or I live in Newcastle, it's binding us to smallness.
Yeah.
So religion, political forces, they all bind us to being small frogs in the wells.
Yes.
Small wells, but lots of them. Whereas art is about being expansive and in the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And breathing the same air as everyone else breathes.
Yeah.
And that is why I think music in particular, because it's a performed art, it's a performing art. Painting is different. Painting is your painting, I'm watching, once it's done, it's fixed. And I'll see my own interpretation. Whereas in art or drama, you're actually performing while it's cooking, you're seeing it. And isn't it interesting that the same notes in all music, I mean, microtones and all, we won't go into all the details about Indian classical music and tempered scale and all that.
No.
But do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa, why? In our languages, we've got such different, if I play an Indian tune, you can tell me whether it's sad or happy. You may not have ever heard it. But if I speak in Hindi, you won't know what the hell I'm talking about, except to my facial expression.
Yeah.
So music in particular, or any art, what do you think, Malcolm?
You can hear it in a person's voice.
Mm.
I haven't known a language. When I learned a little bit of Swahili when I went to Africa to feed some children, and I could hear it in the voice, and the words that they used I'd never come across before.
No,
but I could
make the meaning through the music in the words.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly whether they were happy or whether they were sad or angry.
Well,
may I just say something else? May I come back to Glenn, Doc?
Go on.
When I was reading that piece, to reiterate what you just said, I saw pictures. I saw pictures in every particular piece that I was reading. And I don't know if it was just because it was mine, but
No. I saw pictures too.
I get, well...
They're called word pictures.
Word pictures. Word pictures.
well, word pictures, they're all vibrations, and like anything in this world, everything has a form and a tone. Music has a colour. Each tone has a colour.
Yes. 7 colours, 7 notes.
So then if you're using your voice as part of music, or whatever it happens to be, it has a colour. So when it resonates with other colours and combines with other harmonies, so you use your voice, your artistic, in order to produce these beautiful, like a stained glass window, when it's all
the
in harmony,
bits match.
It's the same whether you're using your voice, words, music, whatever it happens to be. And that's what we should be aspiring to bring those tones, those music, those vibrations, those harmonies into the world.
Unison and matching.
In every aspect of our life, making our actual life a work of art.
Life is an art.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the most famous gurus in India is called Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, not the musician who's gone. He's Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, and he teaches the art of living. And basically he's teaching people to meditate, to relax, to let go of running after money, to let go. And people pay a lot of money to go into a camp, but in 7-8 days they change their mental attitude to life. Like these 3 guys that came in. I'm still quite bewildered. I mean, how those 3 young people at this young age are not trapped by marriage, house, car, children, job.
There's more and more of them as well. I'm meeting more and more because the young people are getting it quicker. It's taken us a lifetime, and the
they're
ones
getting it
who are
earlier.
coming in, and I think it's just happening.
Talking of lifetime, I mean, you had to go through a lot, Glenn, before you could see beyond it.
I was in my 40s before I realised what was,
when you had serious illness, relationship problem, quite severe illness.
Unfortunately, it takes that nowadays to break through that shell
that you built around yourself.
You people build around. The concepts that people hold, really, about life and what the purpose of life is. But the young people, don't forget that they're not necessarily young in spirit.
No, that's right.
They might have a physical body
that's
which
young,
is younger,
chronologically.
They've just been incarnated, but they might have had several earth lives before this. Because you can't tell me that one earth life is sufficient in order to gather the maturity that you need to progress further on.
I believe what you believe,
I mean, it was a Christian teaching, actually.
That
reincarnation.
So what happened to it?
Oh, because it was suppressed.
Yes.
So reincarnation was part of Christianity.
It was a meeting in Constantinople, long way back.
That decided that we should not reincarnate.
Yes. Because they only wanted the people to know what they thought was good for them.
The Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
What did it do like?
But long before even the early church, the Celtic people believed in reincarnation as well. That was the first time it reared its head. And I think it was up until, and I don't mean anything to anyone's religion, I just mean that I think when the Romans left and it took over, and Constantine was trying to consolidate everything, you know, for a short while, and then you could talk about things afterwards. It became a dogma.
Yeah.
There's a piece that I can quote, which we don't have time probably, which Christ turns around and somebody says, "What's going to happen to him?" And he says, "What's it got to do with you if he waits until I come?" Now, unless he's going up to the corner shop, you know, and going to come back with a bottle of milk.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Jesus, you cannot be serious. So why did they take out all these lovely things? I mean, is it also not true that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' wife? And the Knight Templar are the children?
I think that's just mere speculation, wanting to make...
No, but people say these things.
Yeah, well, maybe they do. People say a lot of things. Doesn't mean to say they're right.
Yeah.
You're not telling me that, I mean, all this hoo-ha about Jesus having children or whatever it happens to be. Can you imagine, because of all this speculation, that's probably why he didn't.
Okay.
Because, you know, I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, they also say the amount of people who have pieces of wood from the original cross would make a ship or two.
Yes.
You know. And I quoting my own example, when I was there in Palestine, in Bethlehem, this Arab lady says, "And that's the skull of Adam." I said, "Has it been carbon dated?" She seriously believes that little monkey's head skull there belongs to Adam and Eve, that Adam, you know.
Yeah.
Not Adam and the ants, you know. Okay, I see you churning paper. Are you going to read some more?
No, Doc. What I was going to say was that I agreed with what was said. We strangle each other with things that really do not matter in this world. Those lads were talking about love. This is the only thing that really, truly matters.
All you need is love.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I used to think John Lennon, oh, that's wonderful. And then I began to think about it, and I thought...
In a more serious way.
In a more serious way, and I thought,
well, they were gurus. They were gurus in their own way. And all the four men were so different.
Yeah.
Ringo Starr started doing Thomas Tank.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other fellow's wife used to make veggie burgers.
Yeah.
And what happened? The one got shot.
Yeah.
That was John Lennon.
John Lennon himself.
Yeah.
And one became... And George Harrison became Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got that mansion down south.
Yeah. And he got himself shot as well, and he never recovered from it.
Who did?
George Harrison. Yes. He.
How did he get shot?
Oh, yes, he had a burglary, and the fellow had a gun, and he shot him. He recovered, but
not emotionally.
But no, not even physically.
Okay.
He died not long afterwards.
But he gave his whole wealth to the Hare Krishna people in the manor down south.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. So you know, but these are unusual people who can give up all their money into something else and walk on.
Yes.
You need a lot of guts for that. You know, spiritual guts.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would actually. I always thought that the secret was love, because from being a child that high, I thought this isn't how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to live helping, sharing, caring for each other.
And why not?
This is the essence of what is truly life. Truly life.
And you're healthier for it.
Much healthier.
You don't have any anger in you. You don't have jealousy. You don't have frustration.
Yeah.
What is. You accept it.
How many centuries have we had people die everywhere in the world because of false beliefs and false doctrines? How many centuries? And I sat one day and I had to switch off because it was too much for me. The emotion and thinking about how many people, not leaving out children, that have died through the wrong ways and wrong beliefs.
Or even good doctrine applied badly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, there's no bad book in the world, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, the Gita, or whatever. They're all good books.
Absolutely.
It's how we use and abuse them.
Absolutely.
It just shows you the danger of thinking negative thoughts.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you bring those thoughts from other sources
Just
down
to prove
to
your
you,
point.
Yes.
down to you,
Yes, yes, yes.
and that overcomes you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same with the thoughts of lust,
Yeah.
all the seven deadly sins or whatever.
Yes.
But if you bring the others, like I was saying before, it's this attraction. It's like tuning your radio, tuning your your concept, your things, into things which are light. And if you do that, that's when you bring into the world what is important and valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So keep away from negative thoughts, negative thinking, negative concepts.
Absolutely.
Because you bring them in, and also you affect other people with them.
Very much so.
Yeah. If we could actually see the rubbish that is around in the world of thoughts.
Yes.
Imagine your street with all the thoughts of the people in that street out on display.
Yeah.
Would you not be complaining and doing something about your own particular patch of thoughts that haven't been cleared away? The only person who can clear them away is you.
Yeah. I think so. I think I'd be running in the opposite direction if I saw people's thoughts.
I think if we saw our own thoughts laid out, we'd be running in the opposite
Yeah,
direction.
precisely.
And I think that is the positive aspect of negativity, is that it's a bouncing off point because you realise it's not what you want, and so to use it as a sort of trampoline to help
I mean,
focus on what we really do want in our lives.
I absolutely agree. When I was younger, I used to disappear sometimes for 2 or 3 afternoons, and I would walk around, and I know it seems lunacy, but I would actually walk around a cemetery
So what?
and sit quietly. And people said, "Is that not a bit morbid?" I said, "No, no, no, no. Although there's many people around, they're not talking." And I find so much peace and quietness and harmony. And all of my life I've loved these wonderful things.
I was just looking at Ku Klux Klan. They started in 1865 in Tennessee. And they still survive, sadly.
Oh, yes.
The symbol is the cross.
Yes.
So they're using the Bible to hate black people.
And Indians.
And Indians, red Indians that is,
Yep.
and even brown ones.
Yep.
Basically, I had a girl from Tennessee on radio a couple of days ago. Let's listen to what she has to say. So I just brought that up to show that Tennessee can have good people too. Because Tennessee produced a Ku Klux Klan, and this girl of Pakistani origin, this is Amir's sister's daughter. I'd met the sister when Amir was getting his investiture for being, Commander of British Empire.
Right.
So her mother was there. And look at this young girl, she's only 22, and she's talking about human rights, and she's Asian, brown skin, and that's exactly the place where Ku Klux Klan came from. How does that happen from the same? And so that's me, myself and
Because
Ali.
it's moved. Sorry.
Go on, yeah, please.
I was going to say the Dalai Lama made a statement some years ago that Western women will save the world. And I think, it's women like her.
So she'd been in the plane for 14 hours, and 1 hour before that she had landed. Amir, the older brother, had brought her to the studio. He said, "What are you talking about?" So we are talking about women's rights. He said, "Okay, I'll bring my niece in." And she came into the Hindi show talking in English. But then what I did was I edited the whole thing, sliced her out, put it separately and connected the other parts. But that's how it is, I mean, we should be ready for the unexpected.
Yes.
Life's very boring if you do the expected.
Yes.
People who do only the expected are people working in fear. Every moment spoken for.
Yeah.
When I joined Dr. Koplowitz in '83, every half an hour in my diary there was something or the other. One day I thought, why do I need to be so organized? Why do I need so much of this stuff? Why can't I just throw the diary away?
Right.
Yeah.
I do put a few things like I'm coming to Spice, but apart from that, there's very little in my diary, and it fills up with spontaneity.
Yes.
My diary won't save anything at the moment.
Oh, good
My
for you.
electronic diary, and I just found actually it's working.
Yeah. Then you're ready for the unexpected.
Yes.
The unexpected gifts, that like seeing Teen Tal last night.
Yes.
You
That
didn't
was a
make
very
excuses saying my ankle is hurting,
No.
or my cat has died, or I washed my hair. People make such bizarre excuses,
Yeah.
I feel like saying, get over it, man. That's why you're so bloody miserable.
Yeah.
And this is what's happened in India, that famous rape that happened in India 2.5 years ago. It's come out in a documentary, BBC documentary. the BBC person, I haven't seen it, actually took the microphone to the rapists who should have been hung by now
I agree.
and tried and quartered.
I agree.
And they said she shouldn't have come out after 7. And I said, excuse me, are these guys the Taliban? And these women should not wear jeans, they shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'll rape. I mean, this is a fellow waiting to be hanged. So there's no redemption, so I'm glad he'll be hanged. Because he still believes he's done the right thing. One fellow actually committed
He
suicide.
believes he's done the right
Yes,
thing.
that is what the problem is. He says if women come out, this is what will happen to them. Coming from his mouth is a bit rich. That is what the anger is in India, saying on the government saying we can't allow this to happen. Well, it's a real story. If the guy is talking like this, there's something wrong with the
There is
psyche of
something
India.
wrong. Yeah.
Of course there is something wrong. I don't know what it is, but Indian men worship women in the temples and they rape them on the streets.
So there's something wrong in their concepts. Basically,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
it is. The way
The
that
concept is very warped and
Yeah.
misogynistic, and it has to change.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about other countries where the religions allow them to be abusive to women. I'm talking about India, which is a non-religious country. Though it is a foundation of Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, and Jain, and so on, it's a secular country.
Yeah.
So you're still shocked by the notion that
I'm really shocked. Yes.
yeah, so we all
Yes.
that's a reaction I was hoping you'd have.
Yeah.
So these guys, I haven't seen it. I'll run it because I haven't had time. There's so many other things that happen in life, like Spice FM. But I'm totally against suppressing anything. I've said before that the biggest promoter of Salman Rushdie's book was Ayatollah. So
Yes.
the biggest people who promoted a movie called PK was all the people who went and stopped the movie. So the biggest promoter of this is the government of India. It's happened, it's shameful, and the concepts in India are changing. I don't think there's more rapes happening in India. I just think it's coming to the surface.
Yes. Yes.
A bit like pedophilia
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
happened in
everything
the
is coming
Cleveland affair. Do you remember? Where were you when the Cleveland thing took off?
Which Cleveland thing are you on?
Child abuse.
Oh yes, I remember.
How long
that.
ago was that?
Oh, it was a good few years ago now, isn't it?
As if Cleveland was the capital of child abuse.
Oh, yeah.
There's one person who happened to
Yeah.
raise their voice,
Yeah.
but it's just a common theme.
Yes, it's just another process of
It's
The
not
judgment.
being hidden. Yeah.
everything is being raised. It's coming to light.
Yes.
It doesn't mean to say it hasn't been happening before.
No,
it's just
no, no,
coming
no,
to
no,
light.
no. I mean, just to use the example of Jimmy Savile.
Mm.
He is guilty, the BBC is guilty, the parents are guilty, for God's sake.
Yeah.
If they don't believe their child, surely some child has told their parent.
Yes.
If it was my son, my daughter, I would sit in front of the BBC and go on hunger strike and make the biggest noise I could. So, just like bullying, you know. I've seen so many children with bullying. My children were never bullied. They're brown, they're small, never bullied. One boy said to him, "Brown girl in the rain, tra la 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 la," and that is Jeremy Beecham's son. I said, "What's the fellow's name?" He said, "Beecham." I said, "Go and sneeze in his face." So yes, I was in the rain, now I'm sneezing and I'll take Beecham. and that ended the joke, you know.
Yes.
Because if we
Yeah.
parents don't risk, and if there was more,
Yeah.
I would stand up for it. One day, my son was standing, you know, these ice cream vans. And my son is only tiny that time, he was 8. And everyone's buying ice cream over his head. So I went up and stopped the queue. I said, "Excuse me, this fellow is offering you 50p just like every other person." Oh, I didn't see him. I said, "You're lying. I can see his hand above the parapet. But you think you'll deal with the others just because he's a kid?" I didn't say
Yeah.
brown kid. And he apologized, you know. So we have to stand up if there's something
Yes.
wrong happening.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
should stand up.
But
if
what
it-
is
And it's
right
a-
and what is wrong?
And
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
also
Yeah.
recognising, one of my friends said it was difficult for her because she discovered her son was actually bullying at school.
Let's stop the bugger.
And so she took him in, you know, and she went to visit the parents, you know, and she got to the bottom of it. And I think it's important.
No, that's a
recognise
wonderful
it.
parent.
Yeah.
Another lady came into my surgery. I was going to say studio. I'm so used to studio now. My surgery. She said, "Do you know what happened to my son?" "No." "Well, we live on Crossways and he's been had for months and months of colluding with 5 people and making money. Say you're going to Australia and you're going to leave your car at £7 a day.
Right.
Yeah.
They give you a fake ticket and in the end you pay half the amount and they just share it out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I used to go to that house as a doctor and notice that in that road they had the most beautiful television, the biggest car, and the mother said, "I'm so glad my son has been caught and sent to jail. He'll learn." Now, I respect a mother like that.
Yeah.
I really, really, really respect somebody who accepts faults in their own children.
Yes.
It's so tribal not to.
Yes.
And I think it's this. It reminds me of the story. It's not so much faults. It feels like mistakes because I remember hearing of a tribe who, when someone has done anything wrong, they sing the song that their mother sang to them when they were in the womb. They have a song that is their song.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when they've done something wrong,
You go back to
the
the
whole
womb.
village come back and they sing to them
Oh my God.
and tell them how good they are.
And they forget the badness and move
Yes, and move on. And I think that's a wonderful way of approaching it, reminding them that they're good.
Yes, a positive way rather
A positive
than a negative
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than a way of condemnation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The trouble with so many things in our world is hypocrisy. We say one thing, but we actually do another.
But that comes from fear. Hypocrisy is just fear. You want to look good, but you can't be good. What else is hypocrisy? It's fear. Lies are fear. I tell you a lie because I'm afraid to upset you because you're important to me. There's a phone call.
Yes.
Hello, caller. Who's that, please? Hello, Jasmine, of course. Fire away. We've got 1 minute. Oh, thank you. Oh.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Bless you.
Every Wednesday is Risaria's day. Or 20, we don't know the time, but you'll be there. I know you've become a total activist now. From being a total pacifist, you've become an activist. So we'll keep it posted. I know that. I'm just winding you up, madam. Okay. Now you're a lovely person. So next week on Saturday is that event. Let the organizers, Deepu, Shumal and all, David Stockdale, they are the typical organizers. When it comes out, we'll let everyone know. So come and have fun.
Ah, good.
Okay, if you give me your phone, I'll link it to my computer, take it all down, add some music and put it up in the air. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. The time's up, so I'll let you go.
You know when I heard her voice? I wanted to cuddle her.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we coming into land? Are we coming into land?
Hardly speaks Urdu or Hindi, and suddenly he's in India and he's made a movie 2 hours and 8 minutes long on a £100,000 budget.
Yeah.
It's like me going to China and making a movie. £100,000 where Hindi movies are made at least £1 million, £1.5 million, £2 million, £3 million, £4 million pounds.
Yeah.
It's not slick, it's a deeply moving story. Yeah. So it's a bit like that. It's about conviction, isn't it? What do you think?
It is.
I
don't think there's any doubt of it.
Yeah, there are young people, generation, who can actually see, and by see I don't mean
physically visual things.
I don't mean things like dreamlike things where you're given that sort of thing. Seeing is understanding.
Yes, deeply see it.
Yeah.
The essence of it, the meaning of it.
Oh, I see, the word I see, when you understand.
Yes.
And so they've understood what is going on in the world.
Very early in life.
Yeah.
They're fairly enlightened guys,
Yeah, I thought
for young kids, they were to what, 35 maximum?
Something like that.
Yeah, I felt as though I needed to make
this is the time, but this is the time they should be having a Mercedes and a beautiful wife and 2 kids, and I'm just doing the alternative.
Yeah.
That's what people are rushing for.
Exactly.
But they're so happy.
Because
they're so happy.
You said the right thing. It's an epiphany.
Yeah. So this is when we went to Palestine, as you can see on the screen. So what did you make of all the Gong people that you...
I was quite impressed by those 3 young men, yes.
Amazing, they're just young kids,
Yeah.
And to have the guts to give up that 25 and 20,000 pound job like that.
Yeah.
And go for it needs some real spirit and conviction.
I was getting a bit depressed sometimes about the quality of the thinking of some of the young people today. But they have impressed me today.
Malcolm, what do you make out?
I absolutely 100% agree. I didn't realize such great things were coming out of South Shield. I really didn't.
Keep plugging South Shield. I'll be back in a minute.
But I'm absolutely gobsmacked at the profundity and the lightness which goes with it in their speech, and the things that they were saying, I just had to gently smile in agreement.
Because the beauty is they're so young. I mean, it's a bit like the movie that I saw yesterday called Teen Tal. It's a 28-year-old Bengali boy who epiphany is the word I was looking for.
On the road to Damascus.
Yes. On the road to Damascus,
yes.
Absolutely. They've obviously seen where our society is leading all the time there, and said, no, stop the world, I want to get out.
Yeah. It takes an effort of will to do that. It really takes quite an effort of will.
But once you cross that boundary of that will thing, then you're into another space.
The thing that occurred to me while those lads were great fellows who were talking a couple of minutes ago is the fact that you have to have, how can I put it, there's three of them, so they've got a relative backup. But once you have a group, a large group of people with the same ideas then it moves forward.
Isn't it a bit like laser when all the rays are aligned?
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
No, go on.
No, it brings to mind the power of thought. When everybody thinks the same thing, our thoughts take shape in the ethereal world.
They actually
formalize take a form.
They say the mind is the blueprint and the body is the printout.
Everything. I mean, when you look around the whole universe, why should we think that
present? So I was saying that Nelson Mandela managed to prevent the bloodshed of white people. Normally it would have happened, you know. I mean, all the years of slavery and anger turned completely into peace. And South Africa is still working. South Africa is still running quite successfully without white people being slaughtered and murdered, as happened in the Indian partition, which sadly, I'm sure the Gandhi didn't intend, but there was something missing in that partition movement or that freedom movement of India that didn't happen just like beautifully as in South Africa.
But as with all religions, people latch on to ideas and then use it for their own purposes. So those people...
Well, the partition was hitched with religion.
Yes, exactly.
And South Africa was not hitched with religion.
Precisely. That's why...
So as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking it through. Why? Israel is hitched with religion. Therefore, there's killing every single day. If Israel had been made somewhere in Alabama, America, because most of the Israelis are from abroad, and somebody on Facebook said, well, why don't they have an Israel in America and they'll all be happy? But the book says we have to be there. We have to be in the heart. If you look at Israel, it looks like a dagger. And I've been to Israel. That's what's playing in the background, by the way. That's Deepu Ahad.
Our thoughts do not have an effect.
Of course they do.
Right, so these forms gather together under the power of that law which says like attracts like. And when you get things condensed, it forms a magnetic attraction which makes
exactly like iron filings.
Yeah, exactly.
On paper, and you've got a magnet underneath.
So then people with a similar outlook,
they align themselves.
They receive the benefit of those thoughts, and they link up, and that forms an even more powerful centre.
Now, whether it's for the good or for the bad, it's exactly the same
thing.
Hitler aligned the whole German nation to kill and hate so many people. Now, if he was Mother Teresa or Nelson Mandela, he would align the whole nation. I mean, Nelson Mandela is amazing. He just aligned the whole country to not hate the white people and kill them. Which I'm sorry to say, Gandhi couldn't. There was so much violence after that idea of partition. 1 million people died, 14 million were dislocated, and we call that a non-violent. So, I mean, his idea was brilliant. It didn't work out. It killed 1 million people. That partition did. So that's why I put. They're saying thank you for the.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. I mean, how can these guys come to the studio and not give them a